Casey Church.
And Dynamite D. Harris.
Yes, I am actually a fill-in for Luke Janisko, who is not here today.
Yeah, who is this guy?
What's wrestling? I thought this was a pop culture commercial.
Oh, yeah. Oh, technically, yes, it is. It's on a pop culture site. So.
Okay, all right, yeah. So do I have to do I need to watch wrestling to be on this?
All you need to do is be Big Gab. You have to be 5'9" tall.
That's actually surprisingly that was actually a really good guess. I'm like 5'10", 5'11", so that was pretty good.
There you go.
You're a strapping fellow.
Still taller than me, so
that's good.
I'm still the odd man out. That's why I'm probably more of a manager than a wrestler, but that's okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean on you veterans, okay?
All right.
All right.
Man.
But I do watch wrestling a little bit. I try to watch. Raw is usually what I always watch.
You're a casual fan. We're going to nickname you the casual viewer.
Okay, yeah. And it's always good to have that kind of opinion on a thing like this as well. So someone who's not necessarily an insider, not that we're insiders, but we know where to get the inside information.
Let's put it this way. I'm 30 now. I've been watching fucking wrestling since I was like 12. I
love it.
I think I know a little bit about this stuff now, so I think I deserve to talk about it. That's how
your blood is 75% Hulk Hogan, right?
No.
No, you don't like Hulk?
No.
Okay, see, this is where.
Do you want me to go there with this right now?
God. Oh no!
You asked the black guy about Hulk Hogan. What the fuck? Do I need to explain this to you?
No, I know what happened, but like he had a lot of people come out in defense, and I figure he's a legend, so I didn't.
No, fuck that guy.
Okay, never mind.
You say that now, but when you hear Real American come out on the speakers at Monday Night Raw,
honestly, I've never liked Hulk Hogan. I always thought he was overrated, and I found out that he was a jerk backstage from multiple sources.
Sorry, brother.
The thing about that is
The Rock is a stand-up guy, though.
Yeah. No, The Rock is my favorite wrestler of all time, and he will always be. I love that man.
Stone Cold is, too.
And I know Luke does not think he is. He likes him in movies, but he does not like him as a wrestler. I'm like, what?
I will give him this. No Holds Barred it was so bad that it was watchable. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I watched that with you guys.
I like him in the when he wasn't really super famous, like the Rundown. Anybody remember that one?
Yep.
Oh, I love that one. Him with Stifler. That was great.
I actually went to the movies. I took a date at the time. I actually went to the movies to see not Gridiron Gang. I went to the movies to see that one too, but that was before Rock started like really, getting really popular. It was that one movie where he was it was a Disney movie where he was like a football player and his
Game Plan.
Game Plan, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know. I remember that.
I actually enjoyed that. I was like, Rock's gonna do family movies.
That was along the Tooth Fairy movie line. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, God, that movie came out about a year later, too. He must have had some kind of contract with them.
Yeah, he had. It was like along the same lines.
But, kids loved him. He was...
Yeah.
It's not like when Vin Diesel did The Pacifier, so it's a lot better.
Well, to get on track... So Luke does not kill us.
All right, real quick, before you get into the thing, there is one thing that I do want to bring up.
Go off, Casey. I'm ready for you.
That was TNA getting acquired by Anthem Entertainment.
Oh thank
boy.
Goodness.
Okay, here's where I come out on it, and then I'll let you go on your tangent. First off, thank fucking God Dixie Carter is no longer running that company. Sadly, she's still a 5% owner of it, and if anyone can fuck up a company with just 5% ownership, it's going to be her. So
we got to bring her down to a solid 4.
So thankfully, we may never have to deal with her again, but personally, it's not going to help TNA because it's still TNA. If I'm Anthem Entertainment, changing the logo to look like their stupid Bird A logo. If you haven't seen the logo yet, it's look absolutely horrible. It looks like a health insurance logo than anything. But
are we talking new healthcare? Or are we talking Obamacare?
Blue Cross Blue Shield logo.
Yeah, it literally looks like Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I remember that now. See, this is why it's great to be next to you too, because that helps me.
Yeah, I'll pull it up for you. Give me 1 second. But I'm glad that a company that owns the Fight Network is heavily influencing MMA and things up in Canada because it's a Canadian company. Starting to come down and focus a little bit on U.S. based promotions and that. I think it's great for the company itself, but if TNA wants to survive, they need to abandon the TNA name, abandon the Impact name, keep all your contracts, your TV slots, all that, but you need to completely reboot this company, strip all the champions, have tournaments to decide new ones, get rid of some of the championships. Like, as much as the Knockouts division is far superior than the women's division in WWE right now, they don't have the kind of talent to sustain that division long term. The Grand Championship with the stupid MMA style rounds needs to fucking go. But at the end of the day, I'm happy that TNA is getting acquired, but it didn't start out well. Did you hear what happened last night with Fight Network?
What happened?
What happened was they accidentally played an episode of Impact from 2 weeks prior instead of the new one. And I need to bear in mind, Fight Network is owned by Anthem. The new owners of TNA couldn't show the newest episode of the promotion they just fucking bought on the network they fucking own.
This is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not started out well, but
is there anybody left on TNA?
Honestly, no. Except for Gail Kim, James Storm, and maybe
Bobby Lashley. Cody Rhodes is apparently signed for more dates. Just going by Cody because WWE won't let him use his actual fucking name. So
that's just pettiness on WWE's part. But TNA is actually, I think it's being called Anthem Impact for the time being. But what scares me is that
the logo says TNA. It actually says Impact Wrestling and it actually has Anthem below it.
Yeah,
and that's the new logo.
It does look like an insurance company.
But they're bringing.
That's Anthem's logo. I'm showing Gabor the logos right now. That's that's the actual media company's logo, and that's the new TNA logo.
Yeah, they're bringing Jeff Jarrett in as a consultant, and I don't know what's going to go on with that because I'm hoping they don't try to. Since Jarrett's in here as a consultant, let's see if he's gonna let us use the initials of Global Force Wrestling and finally get that off. I'm hoping they don't do that.
They're just going to merge Global Force in with TNA, and if I'm Jeff Jarrett, I would sign on the dotted line as quickly as possible because you already have a solid booker in Jim Cornette working for the company. There's a lot of TNA guys that do double duty for Global Force. A lot of former TNA guys like Sanjay Dutt, Chris Sabin, Cody Rhodes is already signed with Global Force. He's technically their the next gen champion, which is their equivalent of like the Intercontinental champion. So it can work, and if you merge, the rosters that they have together, you have a solid threat. Keep Impact, keep it as a 2-hour show. Don't expand it anymore. Don't have any syndicated shows. Maybe try to broaden the horizons overseas. Like right now, since they don't have a UK deal, they have a new app that's essentially the WWE Network, where you pay like £5 and you get access to Impact shows on demand and live at the same time that you get them in the US, which was always a complaint in Europe anyway, because they got like 2-3 weeks after we got them here. So you can definitely, slow build in that, but you need to reboot this company if you want it to survive. Keep the same contracts, keep the championships if you must, but you need to change its name and you need to make it feel like a brand new company. You can't just keep, gripping onto this. I don't want to say nostalgia train because it's only about 15 years old, but gripping a hold of this company the way you have and gripping to its past. This isn't the NWA days anymore. Just sell the tape library to Vince from the Nashville days all the way up to when Anthem bought the company. Sell that to Vince to put it on the network and just reboot the company from there. Start anew. It can still technically be TNA without actually being TNA.
I don't think Jim Cornette's working there.
I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to cut up that soundbite, and we're going to send it. We're going to tweet it out to TNA, and we're going to tell them how they need to fix things.
Well,
I like it.
TNA is they clearly stopped listening to the fans a long time ago, because
TNA is the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean, but they're still selling tickets for the next ride.
Yeah, and everybody was like, "Well, why won't they pay AJ? He could stay." They didn't pay him.
Right.
Why don't they pay Bobby Roode? He could have stayed. They didn't pay him. Look where all these guys wound up. You don't pay me, screw you. I'm going to go somewhere where I have a better opportunity, and they'll pay me.
And that's another thing, too, because I actually saw this before Anthem bought out. I was watching old wrestling, like, shoot promos, and clip of Daniel Bryan came up. It was actually filmed up in Cleveland by 19 at the time, and essentially he asked when Daniel Bryan was fired for choking out Justin Roberts with his tie during the Nexus's arrival. The interviewer said, "Did you ever think about going to TNA?" And Daniel Bryan basically said, "To be honest, it would have been great to have, the TV exposure, but I would have made more money jumping from indie promotion to indie promotion than I would in TNA."
Yep.
And that's honestly the case right now, because TNA, even with Anthem's bank account, they're still hurting for money. They just had a judgment come down on them that they have to pay American Express about $1 million. It's coming down to the point where Billy Corgan is still pushing for more lawsuits to get back some of the money that he put in, thinking that he was going to buy the company to reboot the company as he wanted to do, which is what they absolutely should do. It's just a mess. And the thing is that, in all honesty, and this is coming from someone who was the biggest TNA mark on the planet a decade ago, it's not worth saving. There's nothing in TNA right now that's worth saving. Oh, you have a 6-sided ring and you have a dedicated fan base in Orlando, Florida. Whoop-de shit. It's nothing worth, writing home about. You need to do what WCW wanted to do before WWF bought them out. You need to just go dark for a couple months, reboot the company on a small scale like you did originally. Keep a 2-hour show, please, because I would much rather have that than just a 1-hour show, even though many people argue that the original 1-hour impacts were far better than after they went to 2 hours. I kind of disagree on that case, but produce as much content as you want, even if you have to go back to weekly pay-per-views or iPay-per-views like what WCPW does on YouTube. You just need to start small and grow from there. And because Anthem Media Group is a media company, and they own a network that specializes in pro wrestling and mixed martial arts and things like that, it's probably going to be a harder sell for them to do that. But if TNA wants to succeed, they need to just basically scrap everything, sell the tape library from the start to when Anthem bought them to Vince McMahon for the tape library and for the WWE network, and just reboot the company from there.
Okay.
TNA is a indie promotion with a television deal. A bad indie promotion at this point.
I agree.
Yeah, because when
is Kurt Angle still on TNA?
No, he's gone. He's I think last year, maybe around this time last year, he said he was stepping away from wrestling for a while.
Okay.
So he said he's still wrestling in the UK. So
yeah, he's doing stuff here and there, but I don't think he wants to do anything like long term.
He has a match with Alberto Del Rio in I think Manchester next month.
Yeah, for What Culture?
Yep.
Yeah, they put on some pretty good shows.
Oh yeah, that Kirby Mania show was awesome last week.
I missed that. I heard it was really good though.
Okay, so Luke, I don't want him to beat me.
Right.
So I'm going. we're going to start.
We're gonna run over
what I'm going to do.
Anyway.
Oh,
yeah.
we're gonna. What I'm going to do is we'll go down each topic and everybody gets their 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So the first topic: Braun Strowman versus Seth Rollins ended in a double countout when Strowman failed to get Rollins back into the ring. With dominant force, Strowman has become Okay. Has WWE done a better job keeping Strowman strong than Roman Reigns?
I'll let you start, D.
Braun Strowman, I see where they're going with this, but if they're not going to put him and Seth Rollins in a feud, they need to keep those two far away from each other right now. I understand trying to keep Strowman looking strong because you want Strowman to look good in the Royal Rumble. Clearly, he's not going to win it.
Right.
If he did, who would he face? At this point, it's looking like Reigns, possibly because of what happened at the end of the show. And I hate this. I hate that they did it like this, because they did this with John Cena back in the day too, when he lost the U.S. title, and then like a week later he won the fucking WWE Championship. It's looking like that may happen with the Universal title with Roman Reigns. So if they they could have Strowman win and face Reigns, but I don't think that's the route they're going. I'm pretty sure Strowman will wind up somewhere in, I don't know, maybe a U.S. title match or something, or who knows, Reigns can win the title back and get face Reigns for the U.S. title if he doesn't win. Because I think with Jericho hanging over the cage, there's going to be some kind of shenanigans for the Universal title match. But at the end of the day, this match was
it was a typical opening to Monday Night Raw. Let's put it.
Well,
that way.
it still started with a freaking promo segment, didn't it?
Yep.
So yeah,
of course it did.
You know, then it went to a DQ, and I think did Reigns come out for the save for Rollins, or did Rollins?
No, it was the original start of the match was it was going to start out with the U.S. title handicap match.
Okay.
And then Braun Strowman came out. Then Rollins came to save them, so they moved the main event to the actual main event. And
that's starting to bother me too. And I've said this on one of our last shows. They keep teasing these Shield reunions. Like Reigns and Rollins have too much interaction with each other.
Yep.
In real life, if I were Roman Reigns, anytime Seth Rollins would even look in my direction, I'd punch him in his fucking mouth. So you just forgot all that stuff that happened. You guys were, this was like 4 to 5 months ago, these two were trying to rip each other's heads off over the championship.
Yep.
So we just going to forget about that now?
Well, it's okay because Rollins hates Triple H now, and that makes everything all better. As far as Braun Strowman goes on my end, look, Strowman's the flavor of the month. It would not surprise me if a year from now we completely forget this guy's name. He's obviously a big guy. He's a big monster, but keep in mind they've tried to do the exact same thing with Great Khali, and we all know how Great Khali ended up.
He was an immobile big guy. That's kind of a, he couldn't do anything. They brought him
right, but how many times have we seen this big monster guy that runs through everybody, and then 6 months to 24 months down the road we completely forget that he exists.
Well, he's not another Snitsky, so.
Oh,
hey,
God, Snitsky, I remember that.
Or Tyson Tomko.
Yeah. Perfect examples. They keep trying to push these guys to the moon, and they get initial great pushes, but then they keep going to the sidekick role, and then they completely disappear off the face of the earth, and then they suffer in TNA for a while. It's the same thing is going to happen to Strowman, and look, it's not that I dislike his fighting style. It's not like I dislike the character or anything. It's that I know WWE. I know Vince McMahon and how he likes to view these monsters. The second he sees someone who's a little bit bigger or looks a little bit more menacing, he's going to jump on that ship, and the other guy's just going to flail in the water until, he eventually goes under. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he has a decent career. I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer or anything like that. Maybe he'll get an IC title or a U.S. title run, and then maybe a tag title run if he finds the right partner. But as of right now, he's looking strong, but only because they really don't know what else to do with him other than you have this big monster. We want to push him. Just feed him to the main event guys to get him over, and then have him job out the Sami Zayn at the Rumble. That's what's going to happen, and it's just. The guy deserves better than that is what I'm trying to say. But I know where this is going, but we're not going to remember Braun Strowman, 12 months from now.
We'll see how all that shapes up after WrestleMania to see what they do with him. But I think the whole thing is to have him look strong in the Rumble. I think he'll have a good showing. I'm saying he'll eliminate maybe 6 people. And then it'll be a really dramatic, concerted effort for everybody to get him out of the ring and toss him over the top rope, and then everybody would cheer, and it'll be late in the match, and then they'll be able to focus on the true stars, and you'll see how everything will shape up.
What's going to happen is he's going to show up probably around number 10 in the Rumble. Whoever wins, it's going to be him, and whoever's going to end up the winner, whether it's Reigns, whether it's Rollins, whether it's Cena, whether it's
in a title match. We don't have to worry about that this year. So.
Yeah, true. But whoever,
Rollins,
who knows what they're doing? Rollins is doing Triple H, so he's not going to win either. But yeah, whoever's going to win, he's going to be eliminate him. They'll probably have a match at one of the pay-per-views leading into WrestleMania, and then go from there. But
there's a strong rumor of who could be winning, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, save that
later on.
It's going to be that lanky-looking dude that keeps showing up. What was that guy's name?
We'll get to it.
Okay. So. My last thing in that my little take is and mine's like the caveman take. I really love Roman Reigns, and I know Luke hates him. He doesn't really hate him, but he does. The whole thing with entitlement because you're a family member to The Rock or whatever. I get it, but I don't know. I always liked Roman Reigns when he was on the Shield, and. But yeah, that's just my take. I love that guy, and I mean, I guess right now it's the closest thing I closest thing I have to The Rock, maybe, because he's part. And that's the thing. I'm not really into Nia Jax, and that's what I find weird. Like I don't know. Maybe I just have a bromance with Roman Reigns.
I want to say one thing about Nia Jax. I don't. I mean, they're doing the same exact thing with her as they're doing with Braun Strowman.
Yep.
I mean, clearly, because she's moving into a feud with Sasha, and I'm assuming they'll fight each other at the Royal Rumble. I don't know. It hasn't been made official yet. But first thing is her music. Now, with Nia Jax's music, it's not bad, but it would have.
It doesn't fit her character.
It's not even that. As if you took the lyrics off that song, the instrumental alone would be perfect for her. It'd be fine. It'd just be fine. But they don't have to have somebody singing it.
That doesn't push iTunes numbers, D. You know how this business works.
Well, Sami Zayn and Finn Balor songs do perfectly fine on iTunes.
You can sing along with those ones, though.
What? How do you sing along with Finn Balor's song?
Oh.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that part.
So while we're on the topic of Nia Jax,
she's beautiful, by the way. That's the other thing I want to say. Her man, oh my gosh. I saw pictures when she used to be a model.
Could the Charlotte Bayley feud be a filler with potential to see Nia Jax versus Charlotte at WrestleMania?
No, they're not going to change either one of those face just for that match. I would love to see it, and WrestleMania would be the perfect stage for it. But Nia Jax just came up to the main roster. She's perfect as a heel, being this beast of a woman who, in many ways, reminds me of Chyna back in the day. Like they always zoom in directly at her face when she's walking down the ramp, and there are times I look up and think it's Chyna because they do look very similar. But right now, she has the possibility of being a top face in the women's division. Not yet. You got to give that another 6 months. Maybe come SummerSlam time, this match could happen, and that could be her first women's championship run. She's clearly going to do it within the next 12 months, in my opinion. There's no reason why they wouldn't, whether it's Raw or SmackDown. But as of right now, Charlotte and her make a pretty good team, and I don't see any reason why breaking them up within the next 3 months just to have a match that essentially would probably be more of a pre-show match than anything as of right now at WrestleMania would be kind of pointless to me, so no.
I don't see that happening either. Give Nia some time. I think they'll try to push toward and this is one of the reasons I think they should be kept separate right now, too. I think they're going to try to push a Bayley and Nia Jax feud after assuming Bayley wins the Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Because I don't see her win. It's going to be some kind of shenanigans where either Bayley gets screwed out of the championship or she just doesn't win at, what's the pay-per-view coming?
Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble.
Skipped a couple there.
Yeah. Royal Rumble. So we'll see how that plays out and what happens with her and Sasha.
So I've got another good one here.
Okay.
Big Cass, 6 feet tall or 7 feet tall. My bad. Sorry, Big Cass.
You can't teach that.
I know you can't teach that.
Medium Cass if he was 7 feet tall.
He's a medium guy. He's Allen Iverson at that point. Okay, so. He defeated Jinder Mahal with some assistance from HBK and that sweet chin music. Is Rusev's feud with Enzo and Big Cass only out to benefit Big Cass in the long run?
Right now, yeah, because Enzo keeps getting injured. He had that huge bruise on his leg, which is why he comes out in the wheelchair. And apparently, he was actually wrestling in a house show and had a slight knee injury, which is why he had the wheelchair again this past week. I think the original plan was a tag team match, but they had to scrap that. First things first, though, before this, what was the point of HBK being there? Just to promote some movie?
A movie
I think he made that very clear.
In my life.
Wasn't it on the 14th? Is that what he kept saying?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
All I know is it's apparently a Christian movie, and he ended his promo by saying "suck it." So that makes a whole lot of sense.
It didn't. His appearance it served no purpose. You could did this in a clip on WWE.com or something.
You could have done this at the Royal Rumble. It's in San Antonio, HBK's hometown.
Yeah,
so
you know what? If they want to make that happen with him promoting that movie at the Royal Rumble, when he came out, what I was expecting to happen was, HBK, since it's going to be in San Antonio, he's going to be the host of the Royal Rumble.
There you go.
Because it's going to be like 4 hours long. You can find a space for, Shawn Michaels on that show.
Yeah, you can have
but they didn't.
No, if you can have Jon Stewart host SummerSlam, you can have HBK host the Royal Rumble.
Why not?
As for Cass, I don't think they want to break up Enzo and Cass yet. I think they're a good year away before they ever consider making them go their separate ways. But I think when Enzo had that concussion back at Battleground and Cass was thrown into the singles competitor just to keep the tag team fresh in everyone's minds, I think it opened the higher-ups' eyes a little bit. Said, okay, this guy can go as a singles competitor, because that was one of his biggest flaws back in FCW and NXT when he was still Colin Cassidy. They felt that they couldn't trust him to get the job done as a singles competitor, so they paired him with Enzo and became the most popular tag team in developmental in quite some time. I think worst case scenario, if the injuries keep popping up for Enzo, they'll keep him together, have Enzo be his manager, because I think he would be a great manager when his in-ring career comes to an end. Even if you change the gimmick, I think he has no pun intended, the gift of gab. So he definitely could be a Bobby Heenan-esque manager, Paul Heyman style guy who knows how to promote his guy just by using his mouth. So as of right now, it promotes Big Cass in the eyes of Vince McMahon, but in terms of storylines and all that, no, they're not going to separate them anytime soon. But his stock is rising, so that when they do come to have them go their separate ways for whatever reason, or if they do decide to push him as a singles competitor, he's definitely helping himself a little bit.
Well, they all really need to be pulled out of this feud they have, and it probably won't continue past the Rumble anyway.
Please, God.
I am, like I was telling you before we even started recording this, I am glad they're using Jinder Mahal in some capacity.
I like his turban.
Jinder, what I think Jinder needs is essentially, he needs a better gimmick, this stereotypical, anti-American
just
Indian.
Because I'm from another country type shit.
We're sick of this with Rusev, so now not only do we have an angry Indian again, we also have an angry Middle Eastern in
Can we just bring back the Great Khali? I know he can't really move anymore, but we could wheel him out or something. And
now I'm pretty sure that his legs his knees are so stiff that he has to be carted out like Sabu had to be.
They put a disgusting this is years ago before they get released. They put a disgusting video on WWE.com of his knee surgery. Oh, that's probably I don't get squeamish very much, but when I saw that, that's gross.
There was a hospital bed big enough for Khali.
Yeah, surprisingly. I was like, that's how bad his knee was. It looked like it was in pieces.
Yeah,
on the inside.
I remember that.
That is pretty nasty.
He still has a contract.
He does.
He's technically still getting paid. So if I'm Great Khali, just let the paychecks keep coming in for as long as they can. He's
not employed by them still.
I'm pretty sure he is. At the very least, he still has a Legends deal. So he's still getting some kind of credit. At the very least, royalties from the network. Cause
yeah, Jinder Mahal is not even from India. He's from Canada. I mean, he has Indian descent. But,
how old is he?
He's 30. We're the same
Oh
age.
my God.
He's young.
I thought he was a lot older than that. I thought he was around 35.
He's
70 years old. Okay, so on to the next thing here. We've got Neville. He defeated Lince Dorado by submission with the Rings of Saturn, an unusual method for a Neville victory. Could the absence of the Red Arrow be the remedy to Neville's issue of becoming an effective heel?
Yes. And this was one of the things that I talked about a couple weeks ago when I went on that Cruiserweight rant. The reason why I couldn't get behind Neville as a heel is because he was still doing the high-flying, athletic RVD-style moves off the ropes, the tumbles, the reversals, the Red Arrow. I mentioned it before. When he first turned heel, he hit that Red Arrow so perfectly, I marked out. And you can't book a high flyer like that as a heel, at least not effectively. I thought to myself, if they just, took away that high flying aspect of him, have him be in his reserve for when when he needs it for the match and for telling the story, then absolutely go for it. But you need to ground him a little bit. You need to make him from the man that gravity forgot to the man that the planet Earth remembered, essentially.
I like that.
He was the man that created forgot for a while.
When he did that submission move, I thought, yes, this is exactly what they need to do. Because if you remember, and Dee, you'll probably remember this, when Mick Foley was in ECW as Cactus Jack, and he turned heel, fans were, essentially, this is when ECW was going from Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling. This was when they started adapting that hardcore style, blood and guts, table spots, chairs to the head, things like that. Mick Foley, despite making his name on stuff like that, thought the fans were too bloodthirsty. So when he turned heel, he went to arm bars and rest holds, and he wouldn't give the fans what they want. And if you want Neville to succeed as a heel, who know him from the Red Arrow and all the high-flying acrobatic stuff, you need to ground him. And this is exactly what the Cruiserweight division needs, because all the Cruiserweights right now are high flyers. You need someone that does a ground and pound style of offense. And if Neville is going to kickstart that and showcase what the heels actually need to do as part of a Cruiserweight in order to get heat, in order to make them heels, this is exactly the way to do it.
Well, Neville using the Rings of Saturn. I'm not even sure what they're going to call it. They did call it the Rings of Saturn.
They call it the Rings of Saturn.
And shout out to Perry Saturn, by the way. He said I heard he's not doing too well. But him using the Rings of Saturn, I think, is a pretty effective hold, because I didn't like the fact that the last 2 weeks he was winning his matches with a superplex of all things.
Yep.
Which was incredibly stupid to me.
Which still, doesn't get the job done, because it's still technically a high-flying move.
Yeah.
Someone's getting tossed off the top rope.
Now, if he was going to, when he first did it, it's like, oh, he's going for a top rope brain buster. No, it's a superplex. Like, what the? He won the match with that?
Yeah, that was just bad booking.
Yeah, but I mean, I hated that it came at the expense of Lindsay Dorado, because I think there's a lot of potential there, especially for somebody who can speak English very well. I mean, I think Lindsay's from here anyway, so he should. But I'm just saying, like, for somebody in a luchador mask, you don't see that. I mean,
better than Kalisto.
Kalisto speaks fine. He just doesn't. He can't cut a promo. He's very awkward in front of the camera sometimes. If he's not wrestling, he's very awkward. We saw him at AIW years ago when he was performing at Samurai del Sol, but he didn't speak.
Yeah.
But
True.
yeah, Neville's heel run, I think, is going to be going okay. I'm expecting maybe sooner than later. And the match was just made on 205 Live for the Rumble between Neville and Rich Swann. So as much as I hate to see that championship jumping around as much as it has been, I mean, even though it's been, I think the championships were only like a little over 3 months old, maybe 2 months old, actually.
Not even that. Yeah. It's very young, and we already have two champions. But I think if the Cruiserweight division, I think if the Cruiserweight division wants to not necessarily survive, but at least try to thrive, especially on Monday Night Raw, if you're gonna try to hamstring it in there, you're gonna have to establish that these are big name competitors who can fight for a championship. If you have to hot potato it around with several different people, I actually don't see a problem with that, because at the very least, you're seeing that there are champions in this division. It's not being run by one or two guys. So if you have to have another champion in the next couple of weeks or months, feel free. Just don't go crazy with it like Sasha Banks and Charlotte kind of did. So.
The thing is with the Cruiserweight division, it's not that these guys aren't, like it's not like they can't go. It's the thing. My thing is that the fans don't know who any of these guys are.
Right.
They don't see some of these guys on Independence and stuff like that. I only knew who Rich Swann was. He was on NXT a handful of times before the Cruiserweight tournament started.
I knew who he was because he wrestled for PWG a couple times.
Okay, well, I had never seen him before then. I mean, of course, everybody knew Brian Kendrick. T.J. Perkins was Suicide, Manic, and Puma, all three characters in TNA. And he wrestled as himself on Indie, so I had an idea of who those guys were. But for some big name value, especially since this guy needs to be thrown a bone since he's come up to the main roster and since he lost the NXT championship, I think Neville actually deserves to win that Cruiserweight championship. He's like, he's the most I wouldn't say believable. The word I'm looking for is the most, I guess, legitimized guy as a high flying cruiserweight who's been proven that he can go in WWE.
Yeah.
Now, as a heel, I think that'll work because now these guys can get character development. Hey, WWE, they can get character development by having these guys chase for that championship. And I know they like to throw tag team matches in there too, as far as like, a big match is coming up. You want a team to heal up with other heels. The other heels can get the rub and their character development off of associating with Neville, and that's how it's going to work.
Yeah, and look, with the case of the cruiserweights, it's just a case of, like you said, we don't know who these people are, and we only see the same guys every single week. Like, if you don't watch 205 Live, you know the cruiserweights as the guy that comes out the video game music and does a dab on the entrance ramp, an evil guy, a black guy, an English guy, an Arab guy, and the guy who said hello to his cats on an episode of The Price is Right. That's pretty much
Who was that?
Brian Kendrick. He was a contestant on The Price is Right.
When the hell was this?
A couple years ago.
Oh
it was after he was cut by WWE originally, in between his TNA stint and that. And, he ended up getting
he was in
called,
TNA?
Yeah.
He was.
He was.
He had like this weird Tarzan outfit.
Yep.
With white boots. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually was invited to come on down on The Price is Right. And when he spun the big wheel, Drew Carey said, anyone you want to say hi to at home? He said hello to his cats.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I'd say hello to my cats too, but I guess
Their cats are in the next room.
I know they're being really good. I don't hear them making any noise. So. Good job, cats. I love you. All right. So next up, we've got The Undertaker. He makes a rare appearance, announcing he will be entering the Royal Rumble match. With Undertaker's limited schedule, it is highly unlikely he walks away the winner. But what feud will ignite the dead man as he hits the road to WrestleMania?
You see, I'm not sold that he can't win the Rumble. You see, that's
a strong. That's what I was alluding to earlier when I said there's a strong rumor that someone will be winning the Royal Rumble. It's The Undertaker.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him, not being in there solely to win the Rumble. It would not shock me if he was number 30 and he was the guy that used, magical purple lightning to zap Braun Strowman out of the ring. There's been a rumor for a while that it would be Taker and AJ for the championship, and not necessarily thinking that should be the match to end the show. Obviously, they're probably begging on Lesnar and Goldberg to end the show, which would be a terrible decision to end WrestleMania on that match. But it would be cool to see Undertaker, who's 50 now, have at least one last run as a world champion, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, whatever championship he goes for. Speaking of which, is it going to be the same way as they were in the original brand split? Whoever wins gets to choose what champion to go for?
I guarantee that's what's going to happen. I guarantee that.
I don't see why you wouldn't pick
especially since it's not clear, because I guess we're going to forget about everything that happened, the SmackDown before Survivor Series weekend, when The Undertaker was repping SmackDown so hard, you better beat Team Raw or whatever. Now he's on Raw, and we're kind of supposed to believe that The Undertaker can just show up on his show he wants to.
Oh, yeah, because he's The Undertaker.
No, I don't agree with that. He shouldn't have been drafted. Well, he was technically never. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No one controls The Undertaker.
See, there you go. Exactly.
No, he has to follow the rules. Like
I had to speak
else.
for him. I'm sorry.
It's just a show, and you have to title it and show you have to perform for it.
Here's the thing as well, because it just causes confusion that WWE doesn't know how to plan long term. Because when the brand split started, it was right after WrestleMania 18. So leading up to WrestleMania 19, the Royal Rumble, which was won by Brock Lesnar that year, because you're
talking about the first brand split.
Yeah,
what the
the
hell
very first brand split. Brock Lesnar won that year, and they made a big deal saying whoever wins the Rumble goes after the main championship on their brand. Then the next year,
Chris Benoit had found a special loophole, and now,
exactly.
I said the C word, Chris Benoit. Yeah, get over it.
Yeah, Pegasus Kid, that's who we're talking about. But that's when they started doing that. Whoever won the Rumble, whether it's, Raw, SmackDown, ECW, NXT, whatever championship you win, you go after, whatever champion or whatever. whatever brand you're on, you go after whatever championship you feel like. So you automatically, if you decide if you're a SmackDown guy and go after the Universal Championship, I guess you're just automatically drafted the Raw, and there's nothing that Shane McMahon or Daniel Bryan can do about it. Makes sense on paper. It definitely adds a little bit more to the storyline and all that, having an outsider come in to go after your main championship on your show. But it just, raises a little bit of questions. If I was a betting man right now, I would say, if I had to choose a main event for WrestleMania, or at least something to come out of the Rumble for WrestleMania, it would be Undertaker versus AJ. I don't think that's going to happen, because I honestly think John Cena is going to win the championship at the Rumble, and we'll get into this later, something I mentioned previously on the podcast. But excuse me. But if anyone were to challenge, even if it was, Undertaker versus Kevin Owens, which wouldn't be a terrible match in my opinion. It wouldn't be a main event match, but it wouldn't be a terrible match for the Universal title. That would still make sense to me, at least in my head. So it would not shock me if the Undertaker actually came back for at least one more, glory ride into the sunset or into the graveyard or whatever, and won the Rumble. At least get to WrestleMania on that way. So.
Side note, every time you say AJ, I know you're talking about AJ Styles, but I think of AJ Lee, and AJ Lee versus The Undertaker, that would be awful. She would get massacred, and but I thought that was a nice, vivid picture.
You are silly.
I know, right?
That's okay. CM Punk can come in and use his mad MMA skills to stop The Undertaker.
It's my wrestling amateur mind, and just think of the stupidest things. Okay.
Casey, you could beat CM Punk.
Especially after that last match. Whoa. Okay. So we're on to the last topic for Monday Night Raw, and that is Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, who defeated that stupid idiot Roman Reigns, crowning Y2J the new WWE United States Champion. What can we expect now that both Owens and Jericho hold the top 2 Raw championships?
Well, this bothers me a little bit for the simple fact that when I said reference John Cena back in what was this, 04? Or was it 05? I don't remember. I think it was 05, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it was WrestleMania 21. So.
Yeah, John Cena was the U.S. champion almost all the way up to WrestleMania when he was feuding with JBL. Now, Cena lost the U.S. title to Orlando Jordan, of all people, right? He lost it to Orlando Jordan. Then he wins the WWE Championship right after that.
Yep.
What the hell? So I'm hoping that's not what happens here, because I don't want to see another top championship Roman Reigns push. Not especially right now, because we saw what happened last year. The fans are rejecting him. Reigns shouldn't be anywhere near the WWE Championship. Or since he's on Raw, the WWE Universal Championship. He shouldn't be anywhere near those championships right now unless he's heel. Stone Cold Steve Austin even said it. You got to be a good heel before you can be a babyface.
Luke said to say he agrees. he wants to see him as a heel so bad.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the reasons he doesn't work.
The thing is, with the heel turn idea, it would make sense and would help his character, but I didn't believe him necessarily as a heel when he was with the Shield.
All he has to do is do bad things and not talk. That's what he did before. And then he had the other two talking for him. But even though he's by himself now, all he has to do is just be a badass.
Well, then you can't sell your Roman Empire T-shirts to the kids.
He can have him say, "Screw the Roman Empire. I don't need all you guys. This, that, and third, and blah 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 blah." And that's one reason I don't think because I hope they don't do this, but because Seth Rollins doesn't need to be a heel again, at least not yet. Him and Seth Rollins shouldn't even interact, period.
Yeah,
in any capacity until they switch alignments, when Rollins is good and Reigns is bad.
Yeah, they missed a great opportunity at Money in the Bank to have that double switch and turn Rollins into a face there and Rollins into a heel, and they absolutely missed the boat on that because they wanted all 3 of the Shield members to have championships at the same night. So, and Roman had gotten suspended at the same time too.
So, respect to Ambrose, it was cool at first, but I don't buy Ambrose as
you don't buy him as crazy. Okay, we get it.
Not even as I don't really buy him as a main eventer. I mean, he puts on great. Oh,
I totally disagree.
I put his work rate is great. He puts on awesome matches, but the reason I don't buy him as a main eventer is because how his character is set up. Now, if he was, I wouldn't say more like Rollins, but if he was more, not being silly and the stupid one-liners, and it's more of a serious superstar, I'd be like, okay, I get it. This guy is not to be screwed with. You shouldn't play with Dean Ambrose because he's crazy. But we get little stuff like Mitch the Potted Plant, and I don't even give him credit for getting a plant over because that was Jericho who did it. The Ambrose Asylum match, which was
that was a bad match.
That was a very bad match. Went on for like a half hour.
Yeah, that was just bad booking rather than Ambrose and Jericho's problem.
And I'm not saying it's his own fault either. The guy's just doing what he's told. But if you want this guy to come off a certain way, you have to give him better stuff to work with.
But D, the hot dog cart, the hot dog cart, D, that was. Don't tell me you didn't think that was awesome. Look, I'm in agreement with you that the character has become a little overly silly, but I actually think that helps him in a way because he is essentially the top face in the company right now, or at least on SmackDown, and you need someone like that is able to use the quote unquote lunatic fringe gimmick to the advantage.
And I hate that nickname.
I know,
stupid.
I know.
That just sounds bad. You know what fringe is?
It's a haircut.
Let me show you my girlfriend's purse. That has fringe on it. the little shit that's on there dangling. That's fringe. So he has the word lunatic just hanging off of him or something. And
can I say I thought it would have been really cool if the hot dog cart had hot dogs in it and like he was handing them out to people as he was going.
He should have.
He should have.
That would have been amazing.
When Devon was healed, he used to take people's money. So. Hey.
I think it works. I think because if you're going to be the face on SmackDown, which he clearly is, and they're not going to turn him heel anytime, you need that, silliness to him while also being, I will take this hot cart to get, lulls from the crowd, but I will still, beat you up the side of the skull with it. So I think it works in Ambrose's favor. But back to what we were saying. With this quote unquote potential Shield reunion, please stop this. Please stop. To be honest, none of us want the Shield to happen again. None of us want it. People thought that they wanted an NWO reunion back in 2002. It happened. It sucked, and we don't like to talk about that anymore. People were wanting a DX reunion back in the mid 2000s. We got that. It sucked, and we don't like to talk about that anymore. So please stop making it seem like after WrestleMania or whatever that. Rollins and Reigns are going to team up as a two-man Shield tag team and go after the tag titles. No, they shouldn't. They should. If you're going to keep pushing Roman as a main eventer, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. If you want Rollins to stay in that picture at the very least, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. But stop having them interact so much as former buddy best friends just because that they have one single part about them that's similar, and that's not liking Triple H. And that's it. And that hasn't even been...
long hair.
That hasn't been anything that we've talked about. Rollins just recently brought it up again that he wants Triple H.
Oh, did you forget about it for 4 months?
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't seen Triple H. The last time I actually forgot.
We see him as like on NXT or doing something WWE corporate wise. It has to do with the storyline.
To be honest, on SmackDown when they were promoting that WrestleMania was coming back to New Orleans next year, and they had Triple H at the press conference, I almost didn't recognize him because he had the full beard and a little bit more peach fuzz on the head since he went with the corporate haircut. It's been that long that to the point where I knew it was him, but I almost didn't recognize him, and. I don't know if that's just him getting ready for WrestleMania, because clearly he's Triple H. He's not fucking missing WrestleMania. His ego won't allow it.
He needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, God, make it stop. But as far as this Shield reunion goes, no, just drop it. Forget the Shield ever fucking happened, and just move on with your careers. Or else you'll end up like the Club, and we don't fucking like to talk about the Club right now.
I think that's still a work in progress, though, as far as the Club goes. We'll see. I think the Club, because they had a match on this show. I forgot what the hell they did. But
they lost in the most bullshit way possible. And that's how you fucking kill your fucking careers right there. First of all, the club, and I know you want to continue more, but I'm on a tangent right now.
yeah, go get him.
Go get it.
The club was the most dominant tag team I'd seen in New Japan Pro Wrestling in years. And I don't follow New Japan as much as I follow WWE, per se, or even ROH, but I do follow it on occasion. And Luke Gallows, who was mistreated character-wise poorly in WWE as Festus and being
Punk's lackey.
Yeah. And Carl Anderson, who was someone I never really heard of, but saw what he did in Japan and thought, wow, this guy can be a potential, if not a world champion, then an IC or a US champion for a very long time if he ever made it to WWE. And they go up and they're ripping teddy bears' heads off. They're saying, "What's up, nerds?" You have Carl Anderson complaining because he has to share the announce booth with Cesaro. And Gallows, he had the match won off a distraction, still got Sheamus still kicked out, and lost the match just a second later anyway off a bro kick. Maybe it's because they're not necessarily WWE guys. Maybe they feel that they have them, lock, stock, and barrel, that they're not going anywhere, so they feel like they can abuse them a little bit with this character-wise. But as a fan, every time the club comes out, I was like, you had such potential with both of them and AJ Styles, who was a member of the Bullet Club in Japan as well. Have them come in, basically be the new Shield, and then the brand split completely ruins that chance before that plan even gets underway. I hope they change. I hope that the writing gets their head out of the ass and actually books these guys right. Have them win matches. They should be World Tag Team Champions right now on Monday Night Raw. They should have had those titles long before New Day had a chance to break that record. But they keep dropping the ball, and the way they're writing their promos, the way they're being treated as, whiny little bitches. Carl Anderson complaining that Cesaro wants to come at the announce table too when he was already there. Fucking K.
Well, part of their them toiling in these terrible losses and all that stuff is because the New Day push. Part of that's because of that. None of the tag teams were able to get over and do anything. And then at first, the club didn't have to worry about that because they were paired with AJ and they were feuding with.
Right.
They were all feuding with Cena. Then it became them between Enzo and Cass and all that. But when AJ was drafted to SmackDown, the club had to stand on their own. And now Anderson and Gallows have to contend with the rest of the tag teams. The teams who were chasing the New Day, who were like in the forefront, they would lose to. And then when they finally started getting those title shots against the New Day, every time it looked like they were going to beat them, they lost or they would lose in the most bullshit way possible.
Yeah, and it just... The fact that Cesaro and Sheamus are tag team champions right now on Monday Night Raw really kind of gets my goat a little bit because...
They're going to be the ones to beat them, though.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, but the fact that they got a title push before the club, I mean, the whole gimmick between Sheamus and Cesaro is that they're the odd couple. Cesaro's leaning more as a face, Sheamus as the clear heel, and how they bicker a little bit, but they still get the job done in the ring. We've seen that countless times before. It does work. I'm not complaining about that. But you have an established tag team in Anderson and Gallows who have succeeded internationally and here in the States for many different promotions for years. They should have had a tag team title push long before Cesaro and Sheamus were even considered to have the title. So that's what bugs me the most regarding that.
I see what you mean, but I think they're still a work in progress. I wouldn't give up on them yet. Maybe the writing on the wall for them will change. I just think we have to let this whole thing with Cesaro and Sheamus play out first. We kind of won't know till after either the Rumble or WrestleMania, but they will get the titles either at WrestleMania or before WrestleMania, and then I'll see where we go from there.
So real quick, just real briefly, let's touch upon the Ambrose becoming the Intercontinental Champion because he led off SmackDown. Do you think it was a step backward for the Lunatic Fringe? I'm sorry, D.
No, I don't think
No.
it was a step backwards because he's still essentially the face of SmackDown. I don't mean that because he's the baby face of SmackDown, but John Cena, despite him being in the world title picture right now, he's not the face of that program right now. He's taken a big step back, and I think that is by design because I think WWE realizes he's going to be pushing 40 soon, so he's definitely up there in age. He's been doing this for a long time. They know that the fans, the true diehard fans, are sick of him, like we've been saying for pretty much the past decade. And he's letting the other guys shine. Again, I think he's going to get the title at the Rumble. We'll get to that in a second. But no, I think Ambrose at least having a title or at least being in a title hunt in the relative high mid card is good for him because you're not shoving him down the throat. You're giving fans a chance to enjoy Dean Ambrose without, him being in the forefront of the show. And he's still the most popular guy on SmackDown right now. I think it's actually good for him to take a slight step backwards to still do what he's doing and still be a champion in the process. So, no, I don't think it's a detriment for him. If anything, I think the step backwards is a positive.
And with you saying that, I always felt like, I even felt like this with John Cena and Roman Reigns to a degree. Even though it may be a slight step back in terms of what you get to do on the show because you're not in the actual main event,
right?
It's always a step forward for that championship when a former world champion or a person who's held the championship they're holding now multiple times prior, it brings that belt up just that much.
Yeah.
So with Ambrose being a former world champion and beating The Miz, who's regrettably a former world champion as well, and who's held the Intercontinental Champion like 5 or 6 times already. Lost count because he's won it back so many times lately. But that elevates that championship, and that's something that the Intercontinental Championship actually needed before the brand split that the U.S. title was getting.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see him in the Royal Rumble match, which he did announce there as well.
Yes.
So next, Kalisto defeats Dolph Ziggler, but Ziggler continues a beatdown on Kalisto until Apollo Crew attempts to make the save. With the limited amount of established babyfaces on SmackDown, is heel Ziggler the right move?
Well, Apollo Crews.
Yeah, he forgot the. I thought that sounded weird. Yeah, Crews.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he said Apollo Crew, and first all I heard was the Paulo part, and it sounded like you said Paul, so I thought Paul Crew.
Apollo.
You know where I'm going with this.
We can just go with Daniel Bryan and do Apollo Creed and just call it a day.
But Paul Crew is Adam Sandler's character in what's the name of that movie? The Longest Yard.
Oh boy,
a bunch of wrestlers in it.
Hated that movie.
That movie was great.
I hated that.
That was
movie.
great. It was great to watch on TV. It's not something you go out of the way go buy.
I went out of the way to see that in the theater, and I regretted it immediately. That's episode 2 bad, dude.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna finish this Ziggler thing. So, right. I think he deserves. I'm sick and tired of seeing him like one tap away from winning it all. He needs to win it all once. I don't care if it's for a week. I don't care if it's for a day. Dolph Ziggler has been there forever, and he just keeps getting buried and not.
That's actually what he mentioned on Talking Smack. He did a fantastic interview on Talking Smack after SmackDown where, first of all, he was wearing an NWO shirt, which is, I marked out for that. And second, his heel character so far has been him angry, raging, beating people up with chairs, super kicking their heads off. But on the interview, he was more subdued. He was more like a tweener's, like, I thought I hit rock bottom when I put my career on the line. But since then, all I've done is lose and lose and lose and lose. I agree with Luke's sentiment that, SmackDown doesn't have any baby faces right now, and they need them sorely. But Dolph Ziggler's career's been at a dead end for a while. We thought it was a step up when he did put his career on the line and eventually won the IC title, but that ended almost as soon as it began. I think for his character, yes, a heel Ziggler is a good thing, and I don't know if they're going to go the whole, show off, let me do what I do kind of thing that his previous heel persona was, or if they're going to go a full on, essentially kind of like The Miz without the Hollywood gimmick, where I need to be respected. You will respect me, and if you don't, I'm going to kick your head off, kind of deal. So right now,
I couldn't stand that.
Right now, I thought the interview was great. It was a great evolution of his character. He's in the Royal Rumble as well. Would not shock me if he was at least the top 3 of people left in the Rumble before the winner was decided. Don't think he's going to win it. But a heel Ziggler right now is going to be a fantastic thing, and I hope that he does get at least an IC title push out of this in the very near future come WrestleMania season.
Yeah, at the very least. But I just didn't like, okay, he's heel now, and he's still freaking lost. It's like, dang, the guy can't catch a break. Come on.
Okay.
But they did let him beat up 2 people. I mean, but he still lost the match.
I thought him losing the match was actually a good thing for the development because it was kind of essentially, like I said, it was a tweener almost at the beginning of it, and he went full heel mode. And then on Talking Smack, he went more tweener, was more subdued. If you haven't seen the interview yet, it's on the WWE YouTube page. It's really good. And it's like Shane McMahon, who was filling in for Daniel Bryan, I guess, and Renee Young were, they were understanding at the very least. It's like, you've kind of, hit rock bottom a little bit. So best of luck to you in the Royal Rumble, and we hope to see you next week on SmackDown for whatever match you have. I think it's a great chance to push Ziggler, and as a heel, based because he knows how to do the heel stick well. His Twitter handle is @HeelStigler and has been that way ever since he joined Twitter. Despite Vince McMahon having a conniption every time it shows up on the screen. And he definitely needs it. Him as a face worked for a little bit, but it's definitely stalled out. He definitely needs, that spark to put him back in. And he mentioned this on the interview as well. It was either do this, essentially, not in these words, but it was essentially do this or take a year off. And Dolph Ziggler is too valuable a talent to me, to WWE and to SmackDown, essentially, to take that year off. I want to see him on the screen. I want to see him do his moves, and his moveset is adaptable both as a heel and as a face anyway, so you're not missing anything. You just have a change in attitude and storytelling. So this is going to be great for Ziggler. It does hurt SmackDown a little bit because, like it said, they are sorely lacking in baby faces right now. Maybe some of the cruiserweights can come over when they do 205 Live and can kind of alleviate that a little bit. But right now, hurt SmackDown slightly, not overall, but it helps Ziggler so many ways.
Yeah, you mentioned Ziggler being a face. I think that that they ruined Ziggler's face push, like any momentum he could have when at Survivor Series. I think it was 2014 when the Authority storyline was supposed to be over.
Yes.
They killed any and all momentum he got that night,
and he had all the momentum. Yeah. He was the one to get the pinfall for it. It was his music playing.
And they did nothing but after Sting, interfered and helped him win. They did nothing but basically borderline bury Ziggler for a couple of weeks. I don't even like to throw the term around bury because a lot of people who watch wrestling and they think they know what the heck they're talking about when they use certain terms like bury. Just because somebody loses one match or something, they clearly don't know what the hell they're talking about. But the way Ziggler was being booked, it looked like almost borderline looked like he was being punished for something. Almost like that time where he was being punished for saying something about Randy Orton in the aisleway.
Right.
Not the high aisleway. He said something about, if I saw Randy Orton in a dark alley, I wouldn't be afraid of him. So he does.
Yeah, you get punished for that? What the hell is WWE thinking? But in my opinion, Dolph Ziggler should have been the new Daniel Bryan. Essentially.
I thought that was going to happen, but
And definitely don't run up and tap Vince McMahon on the shoulder or say hello or anything. That'll also get you.
Don't pull a Titus O'Neil and try to.
No.
Try to be a nice guy.
You see, it's funny because Vince McMahon's known for hiding and jumping out at wrestlers trying to tackle him to the ground, but Titus O'Neil asking Vince to let Stephanie go first gets him suspended for 60 days. Go fucking figure.
Very nice. Okay, on to American Alpha. They defeat the Wyatt family to retain the WWE Tag Championship. Afterwards, bickering between Orton and Harper lead to Bray Wyatt getting super kicked. What is in store for the Wyatts as we get closer to WrestleMania?
Slow burn. They're doing it okay. They're doing an okay job with it. They needed after last night on SmackDown. That wasn't even last night on SmackDown. I watched it. I think the rest of it last night.
Okay.
Okay. As we're going into...
Yesterday was Thursday. I still keep thinking that it's on Thursdays.
Yeah. As we go closer into WrestleMania, I think we need to scale back just a little bit so you don't use up all your storyline before the actual split is supposed to happen. But I think they're doing a pretty good job with breaking up the Wyatts. But it looks like they're doing that slow burn towards Randy Orton, getting into Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt's head and starting to pit those two against each other, which is kind of cool.
You see, I don't think it's so much a slow burn as an attempted slow burn that Vince McMahon keeps on pouring gasoline on. In my opinion, they're actually going way too fast with this. I hated the ending of the tag title match. I thought it was a stupid way to end it. I thought the match ended too soon at that as well.
Yeah.
I also hate, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, why is it that SmackDown for the hard camera uses the swivel cam? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, and Raw doesn't.
Raw doesn't, no.
But I read up.
I get
on
it like
that.
a stylistic choice, but
I read up on that, and it's because they want SmackDown to have a different feel than Raw.
I understand that, but still, especially when it comes to tag matches, it's just kind of annoying because the camera tries to zoom in on everybody and doesn't focus on the action in the ring bar. Whereas if it's a one-on-one match,
well, Raw overdoes the crowd
close.
shot, so there you go.
Oh, SmackDown does them too. Oh,
they don't overdo it though. I think
whoever is directing this in the
time.
truck needs to be shot. Because if we tried to do, being, TV production majors and all that, if we tried to do half the stuff WWE does, we would be pulled out of the production truck and essentially curb stomped. But back to this.
No, that's been banned, Casey.
Ah, damn it. Damn you, PG.
I really like that too. Man.
Yeah, but with the Wyatts, obviously, Luke Harper is the one that's gonna, be the one to come out face for this. I don't think Randy Orton's gonna come out as a face in this. I think Eric Rowan's gonna come back sooner or later, fill in that third spot of the Wyatt family, and they'll essentially continue on this story just without Luke Harper, and whatever he does goes back to developmental, becomes a face, his own heel, maybe get traded to Raw or something, who knows. But as of right now, I think I see where they're going with this, but I don't think it's so much as a slow burn. I think they're going a little too fast with this, and I think they need to do this closer to WrestleMania, not closer to Royal Rumble.
They need to scale back just a little bit. Because honestly, I wouldn't have even had American Alpha win the championships until this week. And then I would have continued everything else after the Rumble.
Yeah.
And then it would, this should have been the week that big tag match happened. Mm-hmm. And so
on to everybody's favorite wrestler, John Cena. He defeats Baron Corbin with the attitude adjustment. Cena is back for 2 weeks and already holds a clean victory over an up-and-coming heel. Is this the sign of things to come on SmackDown Live?
Please, God, no. Please, dear God, no. Here's the thing. When you have a heel-heavy show like SmackDown is, you're going to come to expect this, especially when you have an up-and-comer go up against Big Match John, because, just when you think you have a lot of stock in someone, John Cena is here to put you in your place, because that's the way it goes. It's the way it always goes. We knew this was coming when the match was set. I was expecting maybe a little bit of interference from AJ Styles since he was there at ringside. In fact, I was actually surprised that he was actually on SmackDown at all, because they barely mentioned his name at all during the whole show, and he just showed up backstage and walked down to the ring. Like I said, they're going to have to get Cena momentum because he was off for a few weeks to film a movie and do SNL and a couple Make-A-Wish things and all that. In my opinion, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago on the show, I think Cena's going to beat AJ for the title. Elimination Chamber is the next SmackDown pay-per-view. I think in some way, hook or crook, Cena's going to lose the match then. And he'll win it back at WrestleMania, because if he wins it at WrestleMania after losing it at the Rumble, that will mark 17-time World Heavyweight Champion, and that would eclipse Ric Flair's record. And if there's one place that you want something like that to happen, it's going to be WrestleMania, where you can have the pyro go off throughout the stadium. It could be one of the co-main events. Again, not necessarily a show closer, though given the other options at hand, that would probably be my pick to close the show. and that way you can make a big storyline out of it. That WrestleMania was where a once thought insurmountable feat in pro wrestling was defeated. John Cena is the new gold bearer. Have Ric Flair come out, shake his hand, hold his hand up. A bunch of other wrestlers from both brands congratulate him, while the whole crowd boos because John Cena, essentially. Maybe have him propose to Nikki there on the ramp afterwards. Who knows? That way you can further a Total Divas storyline, because we all know that's what WWE loves to push. That's what I think is going to happen, and I'm not completely happy with it because that's not what I want to see, but I know WWE. I've been watching this for 20 years. Oh, God. Been watching this since 1996. Oh, God. Damn you, Hulk Hogan and the NWO. Because that's what made me a wrestling fan. Batch of the Beast, 1996. That was more WCW, but moved on to WWF since. I know how Vince McMahon thinks, and if he wants, something to make headlines, even if it's just for one newspaper in Miami, he will do it. Or Orlando, I should say, because WrestleMania's in the Citrus Bowl this year. Even if it generates, one news headline, he will do it. So I think Cena will find a way to win at the Rumble, get cheated out of the title in the Elimination Chamber match, which, considering it is an Elimination Chamber, it's very, logical that he can lose the title there and be justified to get a rematch at WrestleMania and win the title back again. Again, this is hot potatoing another championship. I don't like that. And in this case, it's really not fully justified, but at the very least, you have a goal that puts WWE in the mainstream press again, and that's something that Vince McMahon will never say no to. If it gets them, on the Today Show, on Good Morning America, on, radio shows and all that, saying that, on ESPN and FS1, saying that, Ric Flair's legendary 16-time World Heavyweight Championship holdings was defeated by John Cena last night at WrestleMania. They will run with that. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be a good match, though. I will say that. As for Baron Corbin, have fun touring in the mid-card, buddy, because I don't think you're going to get an IC title shot anytime soon, and if you do, you're not going to succeed very well. So
you won't get. I think he'll have that IC title shot against Ambrose at WrestleMania. I'm not sure if it's going to be one-on-one or whatever they're going to do, but that seems like the most logical thing to do. You can even put Dolph in there somewhere. It might be a multi-man match, a big multi-man match. We'll see.
It could. It's the IC title. The last couple of years, they've done a ladder match for that one.
They need not to keep doing that because I just don't.
I got it. A ladder match for the U.S. title. That will fix everything.
They just need not to do that because they kind of ruined the early progression of the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn storyline last year by doing that. Because it should have been one-on-one versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the IC title last year, and a multi-man match for the U.S. title.
Yeah, but think about it. Ever since they introduced the Money in the Bank system, which was a WrestleMania-only match before they spun it off to a pay-per-view, they've always had a ladder match at WrestleMania, and usually as the thing to start the show. So,
well, what they need to do this year is if Money in the Bank is a SmackDown-only show this year, then if there is a ladder match, the Money in the Bank for the Raw brand should be at WrestleMania. But you have to let the fans know what's happening ahead of time. Make a big announcement about it. So you can make it a big deal. And then the following year, switch them. So Money in the Bank for SmackDown's at WrestleMania, and then Raw has the actual pay-per-view. You have to keep. My thing is you have to keep switching that every year. And that wouldn't be a good. That wouldn't.
Or just have one big match with two briefcases.
Wouldn't be a bad idea. That's just overkill. You're overbooking the match, Casey.
Keep in mind, WCW once had a Royal Rumble style match for 3 rings. So
that actually wasn't bad as a kid. I loved that. Now it was very clusterfucky. But
and with that fine wordage there, French. We will end it today, and that was your week in wrestling. Please,
very good job.
I tried.
The moderator on the show.
Before we get out of here, I always have to do my shameless plugs. Be sure to check out the D Harris brand on Facebook and on YouTube. I do post not just my own stuff like my show, that I have where I interview local businesses, talents, and go to conventions and stuff. Called I'm messing up my own stuff.
There you go.
All right, take two, Casey. It's called On Screen with D Harris. So I post those videos there too, but also I post this content here as well because I know we already have our stuff on Pop Culture Addicts.
Yep.
For the Weekend Wrestling Podcast, but I also post the audio version of this show there as well. So check that out on the D Harris brand on Facebook and YouTube. Also check out my Car Club team page, Team Prodigy 216. That's also on Facebook. So for all the gearheads out there, check that out too.
Right, and I'm still in the process of putting together a couple of video game themed videos as well. Still hoping to get a top 5 games of 2016 out by the end of January before it's too late. Still in the process of that, so that will be likely posted on Pop Culture Addicts as well as my own channel that I'm not ready to fully announce just yet, but it is a work in progress. So
It's brewing,
stay tuned.
people. It's brewing.
And I'm not fully ready to announce my channel, which will be just my cats and me playing with my cats.
That is popular on YouTube, though, so you'll definitely get a lot of hits.
I will. I'll probably get millions and stuff, and then we can piggyback all you guys on my cat videos. But
That's gonna ramp up the
You should just stick a live webcam in your room of your cats.
But don't worry, Luke will be back next week, and I will be playing silently with my cats in the background like I always do. And with that was your Week in Wrestling.